The reason I'm emphasizing it, and Josh is right on, a lot of folks don't do it. And when I say a lot of, in my experience, like 80+% of the folks aren't even thinking about this stuff.
I guarantee you, after we have this conversation, you're not going to walk out of here like, I agree with Josh completely and I'm going to change everything. No, that's not how it's going to work.
We honor impact around here. We honor whatever we honor, right?
Mhm.
Creativity, innovations, impact, collaboration, whatever your principles are, it's operating and delivery of value. Those things are what you honor and get promoted on, not these arbitrary things. Entry music. Da, 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 da. It's the Bob and Josh show.
Bob, today we're going to tackle the thing that everybody wants and everybody's chasing, but sometimes it feels like it's so far away: promotions. We're going to talk about it from both sides of the table, both as the promoter and the
The
promotee, and the
promotee.
challenges. Yeah, the promotee, and how to make it happen again on both sides of the table. Since this is leadership focused, we certainly want to help people work through the process of effectively promoting folks. That's certainly easier than some of the conversations we've had of late around performance improvement plans, reviews, things like that. So this is the positive side, but it's still
See,
challenging though.
I think it's a
Yeah.
gnarly path as well in its own way.
It Yeah, and it's annoyingly gnarly since that's the word of the day. That's what we're going with. But I do wanna make sure we talk about it from both sides of the table. We've talked about how to get your first job as a scrum master or to get promoted into
Yep.
roles like that. So we have talked about that in the past, but I do wanna make sure while we're talking about this, we at least hit that a little bit for everybody that is listening. So, let us dive in, Bob.
Okay. Do you want me to start?
That was the world's slowest
I
dive.
know, I know. I'm still on the beach, man.
I was trying to bring a bit of energy and enthusiasm
Well,
and pop, and then it was just, like, silent.
I'm trying to figure out where to start. I have a few ideas, and all of my ideas are from the promotee point of view. I think most of my ideas, or all of them, are from the promoter. And I was going to say hard
Mhm,
and soft skills. So one thing I was thinking about, I think when you're thinking about skill mix is one thing that's important. And my lens is always software development, developers, technologists, creatives, folks like that. So you can have an inclination towards hard skills, technical skills, but I think also you want to balance it, or you want to be aware of the soft skills, like the hard and soft skills that someone brings into play. I think part of the promotion is coaching for them and then balancing that going forward, depending on the role. Even if it's like I'm moving from software developer to architect, I think as you become more senior, whatever that means, or you get promoted, soft skills become more and more important in technology. And it's like, how do you balance for that? How do you select for that? So, how do you coach for that? So, I think it's a
y
balancing
y
act and not lean one way. I don't think people would lean towards the soft skills as the predominant decision. I think, how do you lean away from the hard skills being the only determinant?
I'm gonna disagree with you a little bit. I think you have to lean into the soft skills because I've been so many places and work with so many, especially on the developer side, because oftentimes it is relatively cut and clear who the best coder is. And so a lot of folks as they're coming up in the ranks have a belief that if I'm the best coder, if I'm the one that cranks out the most rock solid and the most volume of code and it's awesome, or I get the hardest problems and I solve them and I crush them, that means I should be a lead. It's actually the opposite, at least in my mind. Unfortunately, a lot of places, the best coder becomes the leader. And that doesn't mean you're going to be the best leader, as we talked about all the soft skills of what it takes to be a great leader. So I've had many a conversations with devs that are coming up through the ranks. They're like, I am crushing it. I am ready to be a team lead or maybe a manager. Let's do this. And I have the discussion of actually, you're quite far away, and then tables flip, everybody gets upset, but it's helping them understand that when you step into that leadership role, that now the game has changed and you're not slinging code. Now you're dealing with humans. And one of the things I always use with devs is there is no bob.config file that you can go in, update, check into the source code, and now all of a sudden Bob works differently. People don't work like that. So You're going to transition from a world where it's zeros and ones, fixes are easy and simple and straightforward, to coaching people. And this conversation we're having right here is an example, because I guarantee you, after we have this conversation, you're not going to walk out of here like, I agree with Josh completely and I'm going to change everything. No, that's not how it's going to work. So trying to help them understand that those soft skills are a new skill they have to develop, even if it's just going from a junior dev to a mid-level dev or a senior dev. Now there's expectations that you do more than just coding, that now you are helping others. And that's a skill. It's not just magical something that you're born with. So on my end, when I look at it, that's where I have to start to lean into people and help them understand that those soft skills are the big transition that they have to go through. Yes, in the end, you're probably looking for them to have a nice balance, but I have to lean into that to get them prepped and ready mentally to start making the change to become the person that we want to promote, that we know is going to step into that role and crush it.
I violently disagree, Josh. No, I
Oh, good.
Metacasters, I'm just kidding. I mean, I'm with you. We always do that. I can't help it.
I know.
I'm with you. It's a balancing act, but I get what you're saying and I agree with it. I want to throw something out there. It's sort of a reaction to something you said. Is it, and it's a question, and see how you react. So is it always promoting the best? Question mark. Is it always the best? And I'm thinking like broad versus deep skills. And so it's the best at what? And then I think about growth potential. Or to use the sports terms, I was listening to ESPN and they were talking about quarterbacks and they talk about the ceiling. So some
Mhm.
quarterbacks are at their ceiling and some quarterbacks are they've got growth potential, or they think at this point they have more growth potential. And which way do you go? So is it always like the obvious, oh, Bob, because he's wearing a red hat and he's the most handsome person in the Metacast, is it so clear, or is it something else? What's your philosophy or lineage?
So I certainly, uh, the best, a again, is one of those words that is overloaded, and everybody will have a different definition inside of their brain. So to get ahead of that, that's where I spend a lot of time talking about core values, and I even build a career pathway. I don't call it a ladder because I don't want people to think that up is better. Maybe sideways is better for them, whatever it is. But I build pathways and I talk about responsibilities and expectations for each role on all of those paths and what is required for them to be effective within that role. And the reality is, almost every time somebody gets a promotion, they're already doing a significant portion of that job. They've already been able
Oh,
to
okay.
show, hey, I have done a thing, or I can do it really well when I'm able to provide my mental capacity, when me as their leader have given them the opportunity to do a little bit of leading and they've shown it, and I've done it a couple times and they're crushing it and the team rallies around them and those things happen. So almost every time I've promoted somebody, it's been, you're doing a lot of this job. Now let's make it official and ask you to focus even more on this role versus the old role that you had. So best is going to be unique to each role within your organization. So that's why I really struggle with the word best there, because it is going to be different for each expectation set that you have for each role that you have. So yes, I think you want to find the best person for each role, but again, best is a funny label and means a lot of different things. I don't think about overall ceiling when I'm promoting someone, because in the software development world, likelihood that someone's going to be with you for their entire career is really small. That's one of those things where, yeah, sure, that'd be cool, that'd be great, but I don't know that they'll be here forever, because our industry, people move and change roles and companies so often. I just don't put a lot of stock in that. Not that I wouldn't love it, but it just doesn't happen a lot.
See, and I'm not going to tenure you because of your generation. It's different. We have different views and different, sort of stickiness levels for people. I'm actually even thinking of, if the average is 3 years or something, I might think of growth potential, or I might think of ceiling from that point of view. Maybe they can grow into very quickly into a replacement for me or something. So I'm thinking of, I, it's not the primary factor, but
Yeah.
as I'm thinking about this topic, I'm thinking that it's more nuanced than it typically is on the surface. And one of the things I would think about is like growth journey. I would think about the needs of the organization. If I have a gap, like I have weak, not only putting this person into an architecture role, but can they grow into a lead architecture role?
Oh,
Five,
yeah, I gotcha.
do I
Yeah.
have five architects, but none of them are really, they're
Yeah.
great, and so I'm thinking about potential. I'm thinking about them, a person relative to other members of the team. If I'm promoting a manager, let's say I have five managers reporting to me, and they're all weak in their people skills, or no, they're all weak in their pip skills, in their challenging conversation skills. I might be looking for someone to complement them who is stronger. Do I need another person who's weak in that area? And that might be a determining factor. So I think it's broad versus deep. I think that's the best. I think I'm looking at, sort of growth potential, the needs of the organization. Um, and I want to see how you react to that. So give me some reactions to that.
Yeah, yeah, with that context, agree with you completely because you're trying to build like a complementary set of skills for people in the same role. Like that's one of the really exciting and powerful things that I don't think enough people do is putting people in similar roles that aren't carbon copies. There are a lot of places that every technical lead works the same way. And that actually is a limiting factor. If you can build a stable of technical leads that all have complementary skills, like one that's amazing at the back end, one that's amazing at UI and UX, one that's amazing at automated testing, things like that. Now you have you have deep experts
Yep.
covering everything you need across the organization. Maybe it's not perfect for everybody that's a part of their team, but they as leads work across the organization. So there's so much power there. So that's something that when you're promoting people, I think Bob makes a really great point of promote for complementary skills in those same roles because that's a very powerful thing. And that helps them learn and cross train from each other and be able to partner and pair and build new skills and everything that goes along with that. So, yeah, 100%. I think that's a really good point that again, as you're going through and thinking about that next level, try and piece it together like that.
That challenges the notion of best too. It's another
Yeah.
factor that we were talking about. It's nuanced. It's not binary. I think there's a
Mhm.
case where that's true, and I think there's a case when you're promoting people that that's not true. So, for example, Josh, you're a senior developer, and I've noticed that you have good people skills, right? So you strike a really cool balance between technical chops and then being able to communicate that to clients or other leaders and things like that. And I'm like, man, we really lack a call a translator role. And I have a management role of a team open, and you're not operating in that role. You're operating as Josh, kick ass Anderson in that area. I could promote you right. I could see a case where you're not doing any of it, or you're doing it sort of from a sides perspective. But I'm like, you know what? Let's see. Let's see what Josh does in that role. So I think there's cases where in your promotion where someone is doing it like a large percentage and it becomes sort of a no brainer. And then I think it becomes this creative exercise of you see someone taking a walk on the wild side and you promote them just to see, and it's an experiment. I mean, if it doesn't work out, and you may frame it with the person, hey, are you willing to try this? I see you being really great at this role. Could we try it? So both sides, are you comfortable with that? Or is it always practice, practice, practice? And then it sort of lessens the risk, I think, when you do that.
I have not done that with promotions. I've done that with role
Okay.
changes.
Okay.
More common with, "Hey, I think you'd be an amazing product owner,
Okay.
and I know you've never thought of that about that.
All right.
Let's try that for, like, 3 months and see what happens." I have not done it in a promotional capacity. I don't know if it's fear around failure of promoting or something like that on my end, but whenever I get to that where I think somebody can take a promotion type step, I usually expose them to that more and let them validate that and
I'm
figure
with you.
out whether I think they can do that and whether they think they can do that before I pull the trigger. So that's the model that I use for promotions, but I have taken that approach with somebody in a role within a team, and I think they might be an amazing fit to try something, usually because that is such out of left field that if I can get them to just try it and see, and we find out kind of quickly, and then it's a easy swap back if it doesn't work
I
out.
haven't
So
done it often.
that's that is not how I've done it. And I've never done it. Like I was racking my brain trying to figure out if I've ever done it. And that's why I said, for me, that's not how I roll. Only like a lateral movement or something like that.
See, I'm a little riskier taker than you are.
Oh,
I'm a little
especially with that,
crazy. Well, I mean, look at my hat
especially
for
with those blue suspenders.
and look at the gray
Yeah.
versus red. I think the point I'm trying to make is as a promoter, sometimes you want to take a risk. Now, you don't take it
Yeah.
solely, you don't take it hidden risk. You're communicating to the person about this. I mean, this is a clear collaboration because they have to be willing to take,
Yeah.
you have to sort of merge your mindsets. I see this. Do you see this as a possibility? Are you we willing to try it? What do you think?
I think the reality is that every promotion is a risk.
Yeah,
On both sides. Both sides are taking a risk. You
absolutely.
are placing a bet that this person can step into this role and be really effective, and this person is placing a bet that they're gonna like it. You know, they might get there and realize, "Oh gosh, this is like I don't wanna do this. I don't wanna have a tough conversation. I am
Yep.
really sick of trying to tell Bob that his red hat is disturbing everybody in the organization, and we need him to put on a green hat, and he just won't listen, and I just don't wanna have those conversations anymore." Right? So, things like that where people just, like, that's not who they want to be, and that's fine. So it's a sizable risk, which
Yeah.
is probably why I hedge my bets and I get people to try it. And then the promotion is kind of like the last step of the thing, which I admit doesn't feel great to me as a promoter because I don't know. I just feel as if someone has to really prove it to me before I push that button and sign the paper and get them promoted to whatever role and get the raise that they are after. When I know when I'm on the other side of the table, I want somebody to believe in me. I want somebody to take that risk. So it's one of those things that I do as risk aversion, but when I flip the table, I'm on the other side. I'm like, come on, like I can do
Yeah.
this. Let's make it happen. So it's yeah, it's an annoying
I'm
thing,
a
and I
little
wish I
risk
was a little bit better.
as we're talking about it. I don't know. I mean, again, called risk. So you need to unwinding things like that is hard or harder can be really challenging. I want to talk about some of these piece parts again. And remember, we were talking about what's best and then what are the factors to think about. And I wanted to bring in, we talked about part of it in my notes, but I talked about diversity. So, one of the things I'm thinking about is building in diversity. That could be cultural diversity, sort of sexual diversity, racial diversity. I am thinking about some of that stuff. Sometimes I think of it as a disruption in a positive way. Can I disrupt? If I have a team of all male engineers, I'm like, do I really want to propagate that? Or is this an opportunity? I think of this with hiring too. I think of it with promotions and with hiring. I think every promotion and every hire is an opportunity to disrupt the status quo. Um, and building the complementary parts that we talked about earlier. I don't look
Yeah.
at yes, I look at individuals, but I'm looking at how the piece parts fit in and what am I setting the team up for and the organization up for. Thoughts, Josh?
Diversity is a huge play, and the wording that I always use is we have to focus on the diversity you can see and the diversity you can't see, and talk about the complementary skills and make sure we are diverse across both of those planes where yes we have visible diversity, we aren't hiring the same human, and therefore we just become this like bro culture or something like that we know is
Right.
super toxic. We are not going to do that, but also there's like the .net culture or the
Yep.
node
Yep.
culture,
Yep.
or, we only know a single way to solve a problem. So I have hired developers of every flavor into .NET shops or to JavaScript shops or to Java shops. And people have looked at me like, wait, why are you hiring this person? They've never used this technology. Like
Right.
they clearly aren't going to be able to help them. Actually, I think they'll help more because
Right.
they're going to bring a different skill set and they're going to help us look at something in a different way with tools and thoughts and ideas that we've never had at our disposal. So now let's welcome that. Let's embrace that. And again, to Bob's point, that's a bit of a shock of the system, which is a good thing.
Well, sometimes you have to even prepare the system. I'll use a
Yeah.
hiring example. I remember years ago, I was leading a large group of engineers, and I thought of us as the Docker engineering team, where everyone wore button down Oxford shirts and everyone wore Dockers, usually khaki
Mhm.
Dockers. And it was almost like automatons coming in the morning,
Right.
and all male,
There was a
mostly, if not all white male. We had a few women, but we had a prototype. And I was going to hire someone very different than us. And I remember having to prepare, and then we were just doing interviews. So I had to prepare people for the difference in the interviews, or otherwise the person would have gotten ejected, etc.
yeah.
And I had to prepare the organization, even outside of my organization, that I wasn't providing excuses. I was just explaining this was an intentional hire. I am trying to be disruptive. I'm not going to argue it. I'm not trying to make the case. It's my view. So the onboarding path is different. The promotion path, like how you would present that to your team, you might explain, "Hey, I'm looking to disrupt the organization," and Bob Galen is the man to do that. And
Did
he,
you hire some like rock star young kid that just wore like jeans and a t-shirt and tennis shoes all the time and kind of buck 'em?
what I did back then, is that your question? So let me
Yeah.
let me characterize the person. They had no computer science degree. They had a music degree that I recall.
Yep.
They played jazz guitar in a jazz band. They were an actor in little theater. They wore in the first time I met them, they wore bib overalls with a colorful T-shirt and different colored. What are those old style basketball shoes? Uh,
Chuck Taylors.
Chuck Taylors. They had different
Yeah.
Chuck Taylors on, and my brain went, and then we talked, and I'm like, I want
Yeah.
I want this
Isn't that the
person.
best when that happens?
Oh my god.
That is the best.
I
Oh,
was
man.
like,
Yeah, that is good.
I had 2 thoughts. I want you, and then how the hell am I going to
Yeah. How
introduce
am I
you
gonna yeah.
to Dockerville?
Yep, exactly.
And
Yeah,
I think it's the same thing with promotions. There's this thinking about the compliments. Did I miss?
yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna say
So I wanna
something.
go back.
Go.
Yeah. So I wanna go back to the part where I was a little bit frustrated with myself
Yep.
about the hurdles I put in front of someone to get a promotion. I'm frustrated with myself, but I get even more frustrated with the organizational system
Yeah.
that is required to
Oh,
make a promotion happen
amen,
and all
brother.
of the hurdles and gates that you have to go through. So while I think I'm slower than I should be,
Yeah.
that is still paired with a frustration of the system that I usually operate in, where there's something set up like we only do promotions in April every other year because of this fiscal thing. Like, okay, cool. Well, then we might lose people
Yep.
every year because we're not doing that. Is that a price that we're willing to pay? Well, if we allow these like off schedule promotions, then that just opens the
Oh, the
door and then
budget,
we
it has
can't
budget.
control
Oh, Josh,
everything.
budget
Oh, it's
implication.
just,
Oh
yeah,
my god.
it is, yes,
Oh,
it is unmanageable. We cannot manage a world where we promote people more than once per year.
or Josh,
People.
I have one word for you. See how you react.
Okay, cool.
Or
I'm
there
ready.
is a quota,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
and the quota for
Yeah.
your group is 1, Josh.
No, the best is when the quota for your group is like zero point 0.2. And if you wanna promote
Yeah.
if you wanna promote somebody in your organization, you have to negotiate with
S
one of your peers
for
so
their
that they
for their
promote
point
one less
8.
person within their organization. Yeah, so now you have a whole person that you can promote.
Yeah,
Stuff like that is the worst.
yeah,
Yeah. So, while I'm arguing with myself to go faster and
yeah,
be more effective for my team, you are still going to be in a perpetual battle with the system that you operate in to be able to execute even on what you may feel is a slow pace. The pace of your organization will be slower than you want. So, you will have to put on your boots, put on your overalls, put on all those things and get ready to go to battle and fight for that. And unfortunately, some of the most powerful ways that you end up winning that battle, or let me rephrase that, that you end up winning that war is by losing a battle. You might lose someone and through the exit process, have them clearly define if I would have been able to be promoted, I probably would have stayed or I wouldn't have taken that phone call. Now, you as their leader, as their manager, need to be showing them that you're fighting your tail off. But also, part of your job, just like their job, is to execute and get the job done. You have to fight. You have to get the job done. Yes, it's the organization's fault that maybe that you lost that person because you couldn't have gotten that thing pushed across the edge, but still it's your responsibility to make that happen. So don't be like, "Oh yeah, well it was totally HR's fault that they left." No, it's ultimately your fault because you have to find a way to change the system. But sometimes that loss might be the thing that enables you to get that next win. Okay, Bob, back to you. Sorry about that.
no, no, I'm gonna say I think there's more leverage than in technology. So my lens, which I think is your lens,
Yeah.
is I'm a technology leader, and we're either need to promote someone, and this is in hiring as well, and I don't know if we've talked about it enough, but I think the lever, and yeah, there's HR systems that are all this, but sometimes there's a lack of courage in leveraging. We're behind schedule. We're off the roadmap, right? In order to deliver on the increased expectations, I need this. And I think sometimes leaders don't step into that. That we have a, I mean, there's desperation. So I'm going to say in most technology organizations, there's leadership desperation. We're not delivering enough. And so, and I don't know if leaders leverage that enough. They leverage it lightly, but I'm actually saying almost like do damage and then apologize. What is it? So ask for forgiveness is like
Mhm.
promote someone. And HR is like, well, you're over quota. And I'm like, oh crap. I already gave them the form. I already promised them that. And we need that in the organization, right? In order to, I mean, they've earned it, et cetera, et cetera. All I'm saying is there's fighting and then maybe have some negative cases, but step into the abyss of you're behind. We need more stuff done and respond to that and leverage that fear. It's almost like leveraging the fear of leadership and also ask for forgiveness occasionally. Yeah, you're going to run up against it, but I think there's more wiggle room, Josh, for us. It's called there's an old term for it called manager's discretion. Most leaders they don't realize they have more wiggle room than they do, or for a variety of reasons. If they do realize they have it, they're reluctant to take it because of personal risk, etc. And I'm like, you know what? If it's the right thing to do and promote, step in there. So I'm aligned
Yes.
with you, but it may be on the first time. Step into the abyss.
Y Yeah, there is all kinds of creative things you can do that I learned throughout the years, and that's why one of the very first things that I do is I fight to have total clarity over my budget and
Yep.
allow me to spend my budget however I view most effective. Give me a dollar amount, don't give me a head count. That's always been the thing that I fought for, and I, as the person that you've hired because I'm exceptional at leading an organization
Yes, you
like this,
are.
yeah, let me build the optimal organization for the challenges that we have. So that's always the angle that I go in with it because then now I've got those exactly. I'm making it rain just like Bob over there. But that's only because I have the leeway and the freedom to make the choices in those moments like Bob is talking about because you do have to react. So, yes, that is step number one. So, step number one for me, whenever I step into an organization, is, can I have total control of my
Yep,
budget? And the budget being a dollar amount and
yep.
not a number of head counts where you got that point 0.2 head count and it doesn't really mean anything, but you got point 0.2, do something with it. No, give me a dollar amount. I'll optimize the crap out of it and we will crush things.
I have a half-cooked thought, Josh, and
Don't you
you
always?
I know. But this is and the thought is set the path, follow it, deliver it. And I was wondering, the half thought is it like a PIP? You know how we had a PIP where you talk about improvement, we meet, where we have super clarity, and then if you go down that path, and this thought is taking the spontaneity aspect away, right? The disruption
Yeah.
aspect away. But is a traditional promotion path sort of planned? I'm mentoring someone, we have a vision. Like, why go down it if I haven't talked to them and they're like, "Nope, happy where I'm at." Oh, absolutely cool, right? So this might be your promotion path, or you just want more you want control of your budget like Josh does. So exact that, or do you wanna go down the path? So envision it, mentoring, and it's almost like by the time the promotion, it's an afterthought because to your point, the
Mhm.
person has achieved it, but not doing it's been a planned process. I've coached and mentored someone into that position. It makes sense. It makes sense from an organizational perspective, from their point of view, and from my point of view. I think I've the majority of the time I've done that. I'm
Yeah.
targeting. Now, you gotta be careful. They can get full of themselves and or they can so you can't overpromise, but you can sort of create this vision. Thoughts?
It's almost like in the last episode when we said it's a performance improvement plan,
Yeah,
how to get out of here plan. There's no reason that performance improvement plan can't be put into action when they're already performing at a high level. It's
yeah.
now, how do we help you improve to achieve whatever that next step or level is for you? So yes, all of the models, everything we talked about in the performance improvement plan or PIP episode, the one right before this, go listen on your favorite podcast tool. It's there. Those same things apply. There's again, you shouldn't do things like that only in moments of peril.
Yep.
You should be doing those moments all of the time continuously. So if you do everything that Bob said, then absolutely, then it works fantastically.
React to and I think I got the term right, Josh, the Peter principle, where you promote people to their level of incompetence. So there's this point where and probably shame on the leader, uh, well, maybe shame on both parties, but shame on the leader for promoting someone when you know. And part of the Peter principle is the leader promotes someone to a role where they almost know they're not going to perform well. But like one driver would be, I'm going to get like Josh is reporting to me, and to get him out of my hair because he just annoys me, I'm going to promote him to another role in another organization. So you can do it internally. But have you seen it? Is it a factor? Just reactions.
Bob, have I seen it? You and I have worked places where I have had discussions with you, and I was, coming up in my career, aspiring to have some of these roles, and I would just pull my hair out. How? How did this
How did
person
this person
land
Yeah,
in that role?
yeah.
And it was just dumbfounding to me. And the unfortunate reality, the explanation that I've been able to shape in my brain is it is a lack of diversity. It
Ah,
is, hey, I'm relatively unsuccessful in this role. So that got me here. So maybe someone that kind of looks and
oh,
operates like me should be effective in that next role. So I find that those often lived in very toxic, non-diverse
I
workplaces where
div di
everything,
yeah,
it there was zero diversity. And
but not diversity of thought, diversity of
yes,
operating model. Yeah,
yes, exactly. Yeah, where they fit a model that was known, whether it worked or not, it didn't
yeah.
matter, but it was the model that that ultimate leader was comfortable with. So if you did that, then you earned that next step, air quote,
What
earned. Now, one of the things that I want to talk about, and maybe this is why I feel like the hurdle I have for folks is higher than I would like it to be for them to jump over to get into that promotion, is we talked about the risk. There's times where you have to try and you put something out there and maybe it doesn't work. Where people fail, organizations and themselves, is something we're going to talk about in the next episode, where it's a lateral move or you're in a role and you realize, oh, this isn't for me. Not enough people exit that role intentionally. And so they end up in a role that they're not good at, they
Right,
don't like, but it was
right,
a promotion. So, hey, this is where I should stay and this is the only thing I should do. And they're not happy. The organization's not happy. And then that just creates pain and just discomfort across the board. Not enough leaders or individuals handle that situation well. So people end up in roles that they aren't a fit in because they stretched, because they tried. To me, that's a good thing. Hey, you stretched, you tried, now do the hard work of, okay, it's not a fit here. Let's unwind this and let's get me back in a role where I'm comfortable and happy and making the difference I want to make. And the organization feels the difference. So that's where I think we see that a lot. One is lack of diversity and operating model across the board. So that's problem number one. But problem number two is people, it's not that they mismanage, it's that they don't manage the situation
right.
where there was a lesson learned. I'm not going to call it a mistake. There's a lesson learned of, oh, okay, this person is not the right fit for this role. What should we do? And it's not that it's not handled well. It's just not handled.
Right. Well, it's like so it may be sort of the same, the PIP rule. It's an improvement plan. Well, we look at it as, PIPs is negative, and we were trying to reframe it. Is how you look at it. I look at someone demoting or moving laterally or whatever. If I can't do that, I would rather, as a leader, I look at that as a positive event. I would be coaching them towards that as a positive event. I've promoted you, Josh, beyond your ability. Right. And 99 or 95% of the organizations or leaders in the world are going to leave Josh there. And Josh is
Mhm.
going to be miserable. He's going to underperform. He's going to have a not best effect, but no one's willing to navigate that in another direction. And usually, oh my God, did you hear what happened to Josh? Right? He's now a developer or whatever, a senior this or a master that. And I think of it, I'd rather do that. I think you're doing your job as a leader. Now, we have to, that's part of the path, that's part of the communication. I think you even talk about that
Yes.
when you promote someone. What if this doesn't? I have 100% faith in you, but if it doesn't work out, we are going to take a balanced approach to moving you. One of the things I've done in the past,
Yeah.
Josh, is I talk about salary. I'm like, I may demote you, but I'm not going to change your salary.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not
Yeah.
going to. So I've never ever taken money away from someone.
Yeah,
In that kind
same
of thing.
same here. Hey, what, you can't give away the keys to the kingdom here. That's the same bat time, the same bat channel next
Yeah,
week, Bob.
yeah.
We're gonna talk about that. You're gonna do
I'm
episode
sorry.
number
I'm sorry.
375,000, whatever it
I
is.
just
Man,
did.
you
There were
you got excited and passionate,
I'm
man. Like
sorry. I
save that
You're
for
right.
next week.
I man, I had a premature discussion. So, what else
Can
is on
we?
what is also
Uh, the
promotions? I'm trying to think of,
the only thing that I have on my notes that I want to talk about is that I have found, fortunately or unfortunately, you decide, that the most successful way to achieve a promotion is to go make it happen yourself at a different company.
ah,
So if you turn the table and you want to get that promotion, I have found, especially in the technology space where Bob and I both live, is that the most effective way for you to achieve that next role is for you to go get it,
absolutely.
because it's annoying but it's true. The hurdles to make that happen elsewhere are way lower and the number of opportunities are there, whereas within your organization there's that one opening that might happen sometime over the next 2 or 3 years. And
I mean,
what happens? Do
that's
you get that? Do
true.
you not? Or do you open the door and go to all of the
Yeah.
other places that are looking and need someone with your skills
Isn't
in
that
whatever role
sad?
that is?
I think it's really sad. It's true, and it's sad to lose good people like that, but, I mean, I've done that myself. It's like you look inside the organization, and then you're almost required to look outside. I think the lesson for
Yeah.
Medicast leaders is what can you do to push the HR envelope or push the rules or push the constraints, push yourself. Now, it's easier
Yes.
when your org is growing. Again, we know that there's nuance. So when your org is contracting, that's a different thing. So there's three movements. There's contracting, there's status quo, and there's growth. A lot of what we're talking about depends on what is the direction of your system, if you will.
As a leader in the technical world, I live in a constant state of paranoia, which is why I have learned to really invest in one on ones and improvement plans, continual. Because what I've found is that as soon as someone feels as if the organization that they are in is not going to enable them to achieve whatever their next step is, and sometimes their next step is, I just want to keep doing the thing I'm doing.
Yeah.
Everybody's next step isn't the kind of next step you want. So you have to really invest and understand within your people what they want to do in that next step in their career. And you have to be showing them, proving to them on a regular basis that they could achieve whatever that is here. Otherwise, the opportunities are too great and too numerous that they're going to go find somewhere else. So you have to have that operating model. Otherwise, you're going to get continuously lose people and look around like, why aren't people staying? It's because you're not showing them they have a path to their success personally.
Amen.
Sorry about
Metacasters, so just ditto or repeat what Josh just said. I mean, he just said something really important that we need to be managing. So before we even, it's an early thinking of what is the economic dynamics, the competitive landscape dynamics, and how do we need to be responding? And how are you communicating with your staff? So absolutely. And the reason I'm emphasizing it, and Josh is right on, a lot of folks don't do it. And when I say a lot of, in my experience, like 80+% of the folks aren't even thinking about this stuff, right? And then they're shocked when someone leaves, right? In the exit interview, or if there's a discussion, oh, I can't believe Josh Anderson left. What are you talking about? I've been talking to him, and he's been
yeah.
talking.
Oh, I had no idea. I didn't know they wanted to be a
Oh,
team lead. I didn't know they
yeah,
wanted to go do this. I
yeah.
didn't know that. We're like, well, do your freaking job
Do
and
your
you would know.
do I have we're on a pip, my friend. So and that's not the performance measure. One other quick thing I jotted down is like years of experience. Like, oh, software engineers, you have to do 5 years, right, before you move from senior to vizier software engineer. It's a 5-year minimum or something like that. And it's not HR. Sometimes like your own experience. Oh, I was a manager for 12 years. I'm not going to promote someone who's got less than 2 years experience into a management position. So these arbitrary, and they're tied to experience levels, right? It's tied to competence. It's tied to experience levels. I think I want to poo poo all of that. And I just wanted to say poo poo.
Oh, I want to do more than poo poo it. I tell you what, those are things that drive Josh crazy. Both as I was coming up and I felt like I was fighting against that. It's like, oh, actually, sorry, kid, you don't have the required number of years of experience. The best is when a company lists a years of experience in a technology, and those number of years in it of experience are longer than the technology has existed. I've seen a ton of those
Yeah.
where we need you to have 10 years of experience in this technology that is 5 years old. Those are places you don't apply to. But I agree completely. Everybody is unique. Everybody has their own evolutionary path with their skills. So just because everybody else in your organization, it might have taken them 2, 3 years to evolve into whatever that next step was for you, maybe growing into a team lead or whatever the role is there. We'll just use that one. That doesn't mean that new person that you hired isn't going to be this like rocket ship, because guess
Exactly.
what? They have different skills, they have different experience, they have different passions. It is completely reasonable, and it's the right thing for you to do to grab onto that rocket
Yep.
ship, promote it, put it in place, let it do its thing versus holding it back. Because if you hold it back for too long, that rocket ship is going to change course, it's going to divert, and it's going to be somewhere else making a difference.
Absolutely.
So don't let silly rules like that slow you and your organization down. Not even slow it down, set it back.
Absolutely. From a promotee point of view, don't use that. I've seen promotees look at it as an entitlement. Oh, I've been in this role for
Oh,
5
yeah.
years, therefore you owe me a promotion. So it flips in different directions. I think as a leader, you want to discard both sides of that. right? I'm not gonna use that for promoting, and you're not gonna and there's no entitlement system for years of experience, right? We honor impact around here. We honor whatever we honor, right?
Mhm.
Creativity, innovations, impact, collaboration, whatever your principles are, it's operating and delivery of value. Those things are what you honor and get promoted on, not these arbitrary things. You and I
Agreed.
worked at a company, Josh, where I remember those
We did.
arbitrary years, like, haunted me. I inherited a group, and, like, half the group expected some kind of promotion or even increased, increments, right? Like,
Mhm.
increases, and I'm like, "Just because you have this number there, all right, it doesn't work that way." But how do you feel about the
I agree.
episode?
I feel pretty good.
Did you see that
I feel
I have these I need to calm down. I have these little bursts of excitement along the way. I talk faster, I raise up in my
we
chair.
both do that,
Yeah, I know. I need to maybe take a pill or something.
Bob. Don't do it. Be you, Bob. Be you.
So you're saying be conscious?
People 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 tune in for Bob. They don't tune in
They
for a subdued version of Bob. Nobody wants
no,
that.
and the K-Man. The K-Man, yes, Metacast,
Ozzy?
the K-Man is
Yeah,
here. All right,
yeah.
everyone. So from beautiful downtown, and it is beautiful today. Lower humidity, sun is shining, beautiful downtown Cary, North Carolina.
And slightly more beautiful, Fuquay Varina, North
I
Carolina.
would give him that. I'm Bob Galen.
And I'm Josh Anderson.
Shake.
Shake and
Hey,
bake.
take care, y'all.